Hey folks, welcome back. New project today. What I guess I will call a simple spice rack. Depending on your skill level, it might be simple, it might be difficult. It's definitely something that you can make simple. I have a feeling I am going to make it difficult because that's my nature. Get into something that you don't know what you're doing and then find your way back out of it. Anyway, here's the story. My wife bought a couple of spice racks on, the Rainforest website, Amazon. Uh, they're not quite big enough, I guess. Big, spices come in bigger bottles than what they used to, and they some of my favorite spices, garlic, doesn't fit down in there. So I'm going to make another one and see if I can. I don't necessarily hate the design of it, but I've gone in and made some measurements. I made a drawing. Maybe I'll be able to follow it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Looking at the drawing, it's pretty pitiful. But if it makes sense to me, that's all that matters. If your drawing makes sense to you, that's all that matters. So I have this old piece of, I guess what I'll call store-bought pine. I've had this for, I don't even know how long, probably 3 or 4 years. It ought to be dry by now. And I'm going to try and make the entire thing out of this. The original design, they used 3/8. This is 3/4, which is entirely way too thick. I think I'm going to cut it down to the width of the strips I need, and then resaw that. I'm going to go with 1/4 inch because, folks, it's spices. If you've got spices that a 1/4 inch shelf ain't going to hold, we got to have dinner because I got to see what it is you're using for spices. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut down and then get it resawed down so that I'm working with 1/4 inch for at least the right thickness of what it is I'm working with. And I guess the other determining factor is I'm using pine. How bad is this going to warp whenever I start cutting it down? Am I going to be able to use it? The goal here is not to use oak. I don't need to use oak. That's over engineering. So I'm going to start cutting this down, see what I end up with, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've ended up with what I think to be the shelves and the side uprights. These are it doesn't matter, they're 2 3/4 inches wide because I'm going to sneak a secret spice on there that I think if I do this right, it'll fit. My wife doesn't like this spice, but I do. So if it's not kept out of sight, out of mind, maybe I can sneak it in once in a while. Anyway, any hoots. So these all ended up at about 1/4 inch. I did the old table saw resaw, which on pine goes great because it's just done. I just cleaned them up on the benchtop joiner just to get any ridge that was left in them out so they're nice and flat. This calls for a piece to go across the front just above the shelf to hold everything in. I found these on my scrap shelf. I don't know if they're going to be big enough though. They look to be about 5/8 thick. I was kind of hoping for 1 inch, but I don't know. If I don't have to cut more, then that'd be great. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. As I always say, you'll be the first to know. So I'm going to get this set up, make that major earth-shattering decision as to whether to use those or just cut other strips. Either way, the next thing you'll see is we'll be ready to start putting this together. So here's a little trick for you. I don't know, maybe you know it. I want two boards to be the exactly same length. I use my sled. I just tape them together. Make your first cut, get your final measurement, make the I don't know. Maybe you know it. Maybe it's simple. Maybe I'm late to the party. Usually is the case. Thought I was ready to start putting this thing together, and I was wrong. Oh man. Anyway, there are, by design, a couple of dados I need to put in these. My cross pieces that I talked about are actually inset, and they act as a stabilizer so it doesn't rack on me. So my pieces are 3/4 high by 1/4 inch thick, so that's what I need my dados to be. Looking at my horrible drawings, yeah, I'll just go ahead and get these set up and start cutting them. Okay, with that cut, everything should be cut. It needs to be cut because it wasn't cut before I cut it, and now it's cut. The blue tape idea works beautiful until I get annoyed having to peel it off. Say what you will. It's okay. I get it. I'm standing on top of the thing and I can't even put nothing in the garbage can. All right, here's the concept. I don't remember. These are the front. These are the front, so I'm going to put a little F on them so I know. Front. Or Fred. Okay, shoals are going to go in here. I looked at the one in there. I thought maybe they had dadoed those into the sides. Pin nails. They pin nailed it. I'm probably going to do, and no, it's not probably, I'm going to do the same thing. So, this shelf's going to go on the bottom. Actually, there's one of these that goes across the bottom too. Glue and all of that. I could clean these up because it looks like an alligator's tooth in there. But it's I'm gonna say I like it. I don't though. I don't like it though. That would be a lie. Where's that fancy new sharpened chisel I just had? Not new, the old one. It's probably on the ground. We'll just glue it together like this. Oh. It's right in front of my eyes, stupid. Okay, compressor's done. That's a good thing. We can start putting this together. No, we can't. I gotta get, here's my nailer. Okay, pin nailer. I have two sizes of nails. Kind of wish I had a third. Really like to have a 1/2 inch, but I don't. 3/4. See if I can aim it straight. That's my only hope here. It's the only thing I got going for me today. Can I shoot it straight? Boop. Ah, okay. My weevil had wobbled, but this one did fall down. I feel like that's not going to be straight. Probably with good reason. Probably should have cleaned all of this up before I started, and I didn't. So for the care, I don't know what I want to say. In the interest of square, that's a good way to put it. In the interest of square, which most of the stuff I build ain't, I'm going to put the bottom shelf into place. Get off of there. Make sure that it's square, and then put my first stringer across. Check it for square, and so on and so forth. Air compressor. That thing would be a whole lot quieter if it wasn't on the shelf of the table. But as they say, de que sera, sera. My pin nailer is from Harbor Freight, like most of my stuff. As is the air compressor, actually. The Whisper Quiet air compressor, thoroughly impressed with that thing. I mean, you could run that thing in a room with a sleeping baby and it would never know. Thoroughly impressed with it. Have I told you that I'm thoroughly impressed with it? Because baby, I am. Or as Paul McCartney would say, baby, I'm amazed. Okay, let's put this over here where I can actually get to it. Just a simple spice rack here, folks. I've been working on this, if I'm giving you real-time updates, probably since for about an hour and a half. Let's put it that way, for about an hour and a half. It's about 8 o'clock. And that includes having to cut down the wood and all of that. So this is a quick and simple project you can just really just knock out. Oh, only one nail. That thing swings open like a saloon door. Oh, that was almost my thumb because I missed. Crazy. I got crazy with the cheese whiz, and that's what happened. I'm going to pull that out later. I want to get this stability. So I know that from the top of the bottom shelf to the bottom of the top shelf is 6.5. That is 6.5. I don't like that. Let's use 8.5 and 2. That way it's a little bit more accurate than playing with that chrome plated thing at the end of the whole situation there. Nobody really knows why it's even there. I know why it's there, but I don't know why it moves around so much. It really causes me to worry about the accuracy of anything. These pieces I'm not gluing because end grain to side grain, and you know the story. Just want to get 2 in this just to get it lined up. Get my fingers out of the way. I don't know where this nail comes out at. Right there? Sure. Okay. That'll all come out in the wash. That'll be fine. I guess I could go ahead and put the rest of those nails in there. That's not cut straight at all. We'll take their little, that one too. What happened there? Looks great down here. I was just marveling at the fact that I'm off like an 1/8 inch on these measurements, and I don't know why. Well, it's me. So that might have something to do with it. That's at 6.5. That's at 6.5. Okay, we're going to bang this in. Did I? I did get it. Cool. Good time to check now. Okay. Now we put our cross pieces in. Let's check this one more time. That looks like I knew what I was doing, which is a complete and total lie. Okay. And somehow these ended up a smidgen short. Folks, this is going in my house, so I don't really care. I do, but I don't. Is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm going to blame it on warping pine. That's what I'm going to blame it on, even though I know for a fact that is not the reason. That's what I'm going to blame it on. Everybody else hates on pine. Why shouldn't I? I got that way too far out. Okay. So, as I said before, I will split the difference. Shoot a nail into or two into that. I'm going to put this at a smidgen of an angle because I know that it's short. Still square. Cannot figure out why, but it is. How's this one look? Well, at least they're all equally wrong. That makes me feel a little bit better. Come down this way a little bit. Now it's too far this way. It's got to come this way a little bit. Yeah, okay. Before I nail this one, check it again. I don't understand what's going on. Flip her on over. Boom, chocolate. Oh, it's funny, it fits better on the front than it did on the back. Nobody knows. I certainly don't. You could get fancy with this. I'm choosing not to. Partially because I still don't have a bandsaw blade yet. You can make curves and designs and cutouts on the side and get all kinds of fancy. I'm not. But you can. In case you haven't noticed by now, I'm more about function over form. So, will it function? That's the quote. That was covered in dust. Okay. Still square. That's going to go down as one of the great mysteries of the earth. So for all intents and purposes, I got a pretty stout splice rack. I can hold a bottle. Well, it didn't come out as wide as I had hoped it, but I can hold a bottle 2 1/4, which should be just fine. Because my garlic salt is the one, like I said, that I worry about, and I know that'll fit in here because garlic salt goes on everything. So I'll do Thank you. I'll do some hand sanding on this. The one thing I'm going to steal off of the old one is the hanging mechanism, the things to hang it up with. Because I didn't really plan that out. The only thing I might do is put a little notch here, because you know how I am about not having a screw rubbing up and down against the wall. So I might just put a little notch in here just to inset that a little bit so it'll hang straight. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and start sanding this and get it ready. I'm thinking I'm just going to throw 2 coats of poly on this and call it good. I'm not going to, it's pine. I'm not going to stain it. I'm not going to do anything to it. We'll just put a quick finish on it to call it done. So I'll bring you in when it is done and all up in place, and I'll show you my collection of garlic salt. Right. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to finish this and be able to set it up on end and do all the things that you got to do. And then I put the hangers on it, and I'll just hang it off the side of my bench. That works. I've been using this same brush. I mean, I gotta say, it's gotta be a year. Gotta be a year I've been using this brush. That's only going to make it so much easier because I still got to get down in there. That's going to be a blast. I'll tell you, if you have, this would be a great project for a spray can. Whether it's a lacquer or a poly, or even if you got a paint sprayer. I have a paint sprayer. It's a great paint sprayer. I've never used it. It's still in the box. It's over on the shelf. I bought it because, you know, I thought I was going to be making furniture. But I'm not. And the cleanup and everything involved for a project this small really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'll end up brushing it again tomorrow. A little on the top. Wipe off the excess. Not to be confused with in excess. Because they'll give you what you need, they'll give you what you need, yeah. Okay. That's it for tonight. And there it is, the new home for my garlic salt, and the other stuff too. Nothing really difficult about the build, nothing groundbreaking about the design. It's just a spice rack. Simple design, doing the job it was meant to do. You can crank this off probably in a day, probably less. If I'm being honest, I had some concerns about using 1/4-inch pine for the shelves. I was worried that they would droop under the weight, but they're doing wonderful. The spices on the lower left are actually in glass jars, and you know, they've got some weight to them, and the shelves are holding up fine. So maybe this will give you the confidence that you need to get back out into the shop again. Build one of your own, or anything else for that matter that you might need. Friends, if you like these kind of videos, I try to put one out every week. Go ahead and subscribe. There's a bell involved, and if you liked it, I guess you hit the thumb. I don't know. In the meantime, God bless. Have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.